Okay, within a few months, the federal government is set to introduce new legislation that will ban gamblers from using credit cards for online betting. Now, it seems like a good idea, and it's a way to stop people betting with money they don't have. So there's the welfare issue, of course, Angela, but also the crime issue too that needs to be tackled.
Oh, look, exactly. I mean, I am sick of issues around gambling. We just tinker at the edges of them. We don't really make any inroads. We are the highest gambling country in the world with 1,200 in gambling losses per person. We've got these new measures. The UK today is announcing new measures around under 25s and protections for them. There's talk about statutory levies where the gambling industry pays for, research into addiction. But we keep funding this terrible scourge on our public health and on our social health. And I just think every time it's just a tiny lever here or tiny thing here, it is a massive problem, and we need to educate around, just as we did with smoking, just as we did with seatbelts. And these little tweaks, they just don't cut it with me.
No, they don't. No. And if you know someone who is a problem gambler, you know firsthand that this is not just a little side issue. This ruins lives. And the amount of money, I was looking at this for the Paul Murray show last night, is staggering in terms of we're at record levels of losses.
And when you think of the government actually brings in $6 billion from gambling revenue, they're not getting rid of it anytime soon. And it's funny because this proposal omits lotteries, and lotteries actually the highest form of gambling at 76%. So if they're genuine about it, why don't they include that?
That's a really good point. But see, Lotto, it seems less... not even addictive, because I guess it's whenever there's a big lotto on, Ange, is that right? It's like once a week or once a month.
It's become part of people's livelihoods.
Just to you can continually go, but I guess Lotto you can buy as many tickets.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point you made.
Oh, look, it looks benign, and the whole marketing around it is all, sort of tinsel and sprinkles and balls and things like that. But yeah, no, it's just as insidious, and it's a gateway. It's a gateway into worse forms of gambling.
And it does not exist because we win.
We should just get rid of gambling altogether.
Well, see, I kind of, I used to love a punt. I don't really do it anymore, but I know a lot of people who can do it sensibly.
That's right.
I think in a society, if you can do it sensibly and you enjoy it, you should have that right. But for a lot of people, it is a huge issue. Let's move on. South Korean President Yoon showed off his karaoke skills at a White House dinner with Joe Biden this week, singing America's great song, American Pie. Have a look at this.
Touch me deep inside the day the music died.
Oh, see, I love it. I've got nothing negative to... I think that stuff's great.
Well, Don McLean actually said he'd like to do a duet with him.
Oh, did he?
After hearing that. So you never know, we might get another piece on this.
See, look, that's national relations, I guess. Ange, what do you think? Or is it silly? Do we need to be more serious as world leaders?
Oh no, this is what South Korea is all about, K-pop, and when your leader gets into it as well, I reckon the next NATO summit, I reckon the G8, they should have choirs, they should have sort of Eurovision type for politicians. I mean, it's a boring job, isn't it? You've got to have a bit of entertainment.
Oh, well, speaking of entertainment, Anthony Albanese is apparently on the decks, this is a question without notice, at Kyle and Jackie O's wedding this weekend, and he's getting slammed. He's having to justify why he's going. Does he need to justify why he's going?
Pick your company and I pick your character.
Oh, okay. And what do you reckon?
Oh, no, look, I've got beef with Kyle Sandilands going back a long time. My big question on this one is Anthony Albanese friends with Kyle Sandilands outside of work? Do they meet up? Do they have a beer? Because what I'm guessing here is this is both of them getting something out of it. This is a bit like Meghan and Harry inviting Amal and George Clooney to their wedding, having barely met them. Look, I know he goes and does radio with them every week. I don't love it. It's not a good look. Are they mates? Do they catch up outside work? If they don't,
look, when you've got families that can't pay their electricity bills and can't pay for their food, and we have a Prime Minister that think that this is okay, and to also show it, go privately, keep it under the radar if it's something you're going to do and they're your friends, even though I don't like that, because it's quite insulting. People are seeing our leader do that when they're struggling to how am I going to pay for my rent.
We had the Alice Springs issue as well, of course, the PM at the tennis 3 nights in a row. That annoyed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Amanda, under the radar, Kyle has never done a single thing in his life.
I was trying to be polite.